Hello guys, I was ill last week so I missed an upload, but boy, we got lots of West Ham news to get through. James Garner monitored, the London Stadium labelled a badly written contract live on camera, Ward-Prowse is gone in January, Guilherme potentially leaving too, striker rumours piling up, Charlie Cresswell back on the agenda, Soucek releasing a book, but then losing the Czech captaincy, and Paqueta going viral again for talking about Flamengo and that collapsed Manchester City deal. Bournemouth away on Saturday, Nuno turning the team around and the club heading into a massive window. Let us go through the lot. We start in midfield because that is where the biggest January conversations are happening. According to ex-West Ham employee, Everton midfielder James Garner is one of the players West Ham are actively monitoring ahead of the January window. He has become a consistent performer for Everton, playing centrally, playing wide, even filling in at full-back, and he matches that profile Nuno keeps talking about. Energetic, disciplined, and able to cover serious ground. The message from inside the fan media circles is simple. If West Ham can create space in the squad and on the wage bill, Garner is one of the names near the top of the shortlist, and that takes us straight into the bigger picture. Because while all this football talk is going on, the London Stadium has been dragged into politics again. At a London Assembly meeting, one member laid into the deal West Ham have with the stadium, calling it a badly written contract and blaming the previous mayor for signing off what they described as a bad deal for the taxpayer. Now, none of that affects Saturday, none of that affects Nuno, but it matters when we talk long-term planning, spending power, or any conversation around the club's future at the stadium. Every time the Assembly raises this, the financial situation at West Ham is quietly part of that conversation. And speaking of finances, Claret and Hugh reported this week that the message inside the club is clear. West Ham must sell players before they can buy in January. Profitability and sustainability rules, the wage bill, and last summer's spending have all caught up. The winter window will only open up if certain players are moved on. That sets the tone for everything else we talk about today, which means the list of potential exits suddenly matters a lot more. James Ward-Prowse is one of the names heavily linked with a January exit. Ex-West Ham employee says it is highly likely he leaves the club, with Southampton and Everton both showing interest. Under Nuno, he has clearly fallen down the pecking order, and if West Ham want to bring in someone like James Garner, this is one of the deals that unlocks the budget. A sale here would free up wages, ease the profitability and sustainability pressure, and give the club flexibility to move in the direction Nuno wants. And he is not the only one in that situation. Reports from Brazil, especially from Trivela, say that teenage winger Luis Guilherme and his representatives are exploring a move away from West Ham after struggling for minutes. There is interest from Europe, interest from Brazil, and even talk of a possible Saudi move earlier in the year. For a player who cost West Ham serious money, this story is moving quickly. And again, if West Ham need to sell before they buy, Guilherme is one of the most realistic outgoing options. And this midfield transition ties neatly into something David Moyes said recently. David Moyes has been speaking again about the time he tried to bring Scott McTominay to West Ham, calling it one of the hard luck stories of his career. He said McTominay was exactly the all-round midfielder he needed after Declan Rice left, but the club could not get the deal over the line. It adds a bit of historical context to West Ham's ongoing attempts to rebuild that midfield. You can see the club still searching for a long-term solution in that position. But if midfield is messy, the striker situation is even more chaotic. There is a stat doing the rounds this week that none of West Ham's actual strikers have scored more league goals this season than Vladimir Coufal. When your old right-back who never scored a goal for your club is beating your current strikers to the goal tally, you do not need a scouting report to know something has gone wrong. And that is why the striker rumours keep stacking up. On that note, Francolino Jew is once again being linked with West Ham. Reports from the Mirror and fan media outlets say the club have made inquiries, but Claret and Hugh have added a reality check. Bayern Munich and several top European clubs are now circling, and West Ham may not be able to compete if it turns into a bidding war. The interest is genuine, but the competition is huge. Then you have the more speculative rumor involving Santiago Gimenez, with talk of a potential swap style idea involving Niklas Füllkrug. This one has not come from Tier 1 journalists, and it definitely sits in the interesting gossip category, rather than a solid lead. But it still shows the direction the club are pushing. They know they need goals, and they are looking everywhere. And at the same time, another position is being talked about. Up in Manchester, the local press have been reporting that young goalkeeper James Trafford is likely to leave Manchester City if he wants regular football. Every time the story resurfaces, West Ham fans are straight in the replies begging for the club to make a move. There is no solid reporting yet that West Ham are preparing a bid, but the logic is easy to see. If the club are refreshing the spine of the team, goalkeeper is part of that conversation. And speaking of refreshing the spine, TalkSport have said that West Ham have reignited their interest in Charlie Cresswell. West Ham tried for him in the summer, with a bid rejected, and the club are expected to go back in for January. He is young, he is developing well, and he fits the mold of a defender Nuno could build around, but the clearest sign of a rebuild is what is happening on the pitch. There is a stat doing the rounds that under Julian Lopetegui and Graham Potter combined, West Ham had only earned around 6 points from losing positions. Under Nuno, they have earned 7 points from behind in just 5 league matches. It is early days, but it shows the mentality shift fans have been feeling. This team is fighting again, and that is important heading into Saturday. Yes, we are back on the pitch and we will be facing Bournemouth. To be honest, the recent record in this fixture is actually decent. The Hammers are 9 matches unbeaten against Bournemouth with 4 wins and 5 draws. It is a tough place to go, but historically, it is a match where West Ham have found ways to get results, and with the mood picking up under Nuno, this one has become a quietly important game. On the international side, Jarrod Bowen has been speaking about competition on the right wing for England. I'm sure you've all heard about this, so I'll keep this quick. He named Bukayo Saka, Cole Palmer, Phil Foden, and Noni Madueke, calling them world-class elite players, and then added that he is in the same category as them. It is a confident line, but it is hard to argue with when you look at the numbers and his influence at West Ham. The team will need him firing on Saturday and for the run into Christmas. Freddie Potts has given some insight into life under Graham Potter, saying he played a lot in pre-season, especially on the America Tour, and felt like he was showing what he could do. But once the season began, he could not get in the team, could not get off the bench, and he admits that was emotionally tough. It is a reminder of how turbulent the club has been behind the scenes, and nothing captures that better than the story of Soucek this week. Soucek has released his book called Soucek, and it includes some incredibly raw reflections. He speaks about 2 years of insomnia and depression, to the point where he wondered if he should walk away from football. He explains that his helicopter celebration symbolizes taking off again after surviving that period, and in a club interview, he said he has 2 superstitions every time he puts on the West Ham shirt, and one of them is to kiss the badge. That is how he explains what this club means to him. But in the same week, he has been punished by his national team. After a 6-0 win over Gibraltar, the Czech players walked straight off the pitch without acknowledging the travelling fans. As a result, the Czech Federation have stripped Soucek of the captaincy for at least 1 match and removed the team's bonus payment. 2 very different stories, one very human week for him. A quick positive one to round things off, Pablo Fornals was recalled to the Spain national team after strong form in La Liga. He is a player West Ham fans still love, and seeing him back on the international stage was a very nice moment, especially after how up and down his final season in Claret and Blue was. And for our last segment in this news update, Lucas Paqueta has been speaking in Brazil about Flamengo and Manchester City. He revealed that he told West Ham last summer he wanted to return to Flamengo, that he felt he would be happy there again, but he could not force the move because West Ham had supported him through the Football Association investigation. He also said that he lost the Manchester City transfer he had lined up in 2023, and that he probably would have signed the week he received a letter from the Football Association. The expectation is that he stays at West Ham until at least the end of the season, possibly until after the next World Cup, but that Flamengo return is something he clearly sees in his future, and with that, we have now covered absolutely everything that dropped while I was sick. So that is the full catch-up. I tried to keep it quicker than usual today. Apologies for missing last week's upload, but as I said before, I was very ill and needed the rest. I reckon we'll get a draw this weekend. Let me know your score predictions down below. As always, see you in the next one.